The movie starts with Bak Hyun-woo and Hong Haayin in a documentary about famous personalities revealing their personal lives. It's clear their relationship is falling apart, even to the interviewers. The two met while working for the Queen's Group when Haayin was an intern. Haayin, a typical chaebol princess, is ignorant and unpleasant, prompting Hyun-woo to help her, fearing she'll get fired. Haayin mistakenly thinks Hyun-woo likes her due to his kindness. Eventually, Hyun-woo confesses his feelings, giving her an umbrella on a rainy day while he's left soaked. Haayin, clueless, watches as her driver arrives. Later, we see Hyun-woo resigned and ghosted her after discovering she was the Queen's Group heiress. Haayin dramatically visits him in a helicopter, vowing to never let him cry. As the interview ends, despite Hyun-woo's uncertain reassurances of love, it's revealed he wants a divorce. We reconnect with Haayin and Hyun-woo, now 3 years into their marriage. Their personalities and social statuses remain opposite. Haayin summons Hyun-woo to her office, scolding him and ordering him to evict non-performing brands despite his protests. At the Hong residence, Haayin's parents make all decisions, leaving Hyun-woo powerless. They pressure the couple to have a child, while Haayin's brother, Seoul, forces Hyun-woo to do trivial legal tasks, undermining his authority. After the family meeting, Hyun-woo confronts Haayin about having a child, but she remains indifferent. Elsewhere, Haayin slaps her brother and threatens to kill him if he ever disrespects Hyun-woo again. Frustrated, Hyun-woo leaves and meets his lawyer friend, Kim Yang-ki, drunkenly complaining about his life with the Hong family and blaming his drunken cuteness for attracting Haayin. The next day, Hyun-woo visits his jailed aunt-in-law, Hong Beom-ja, who is imprisoned for harming her father's girlfriend. She tells Hyun-woo that divorce has no goodbyes and vows to destroy all her ex-husbands and their families. Hyun-woo is nervous, as divorce is on his mind. Later, at the memorial for the chairman's late wife, we learn that Chairman Hong Man-dae has a young girlfriend, Mo Seul-hee. During the ceremony, Beom-ja causes a scene, accusing Mo Seul-hee of being responsible for her mother's death. Meanwhile, the sons-in-law discuss how they are treated as slaves by the Hong family, forced to attend functions and never allowed to see their own families. Haayin's father, Hong Beom-jun, orders Hyun-woo to humiliate a director leaving the Queen's Group, warning, "I never let anyone who turns their back on me leave in one piece," which further threatens Hyun-woo as he contemplates divorce. Afterward, Hyun-woo visits a doctor and shares his struggles, emphasizing how he lives with his in-laws, his wife is his boss, and he has no time for himself. The doctor sympathizes and gives him medicine, and Hyun-woo hugs him before leaving. Meanwhile, we meet Grace Go, a secretary handling upper-class family affairs. She's irritated by a woman who claims Grace's abilities are fading because Haayin didn't marry her choice. Haayin appears, acting cold towards Grace, who in turn tells Hyun-woo that he's not included in Haayin's will, further unsettling him. Later, Haayin asks Hyun-woo to go somewhere with her, but influenced by Grace's remark, he refuses and visits his hometown instead. He tells his family he plans to divorce Haayin, though his siblings oppose it since Hyun-woo supports them financially. Returning to the Hong residence, Hyun-woo takes divorce papers to Haayin's room. Before he can announce his decision, Haayin reveals she is dying and has only 3 months to live. Shocked, Hyun-woo immediately shifts, professing his love and breaking down in tears. A flashback shows their wedding, with Hyun-woo promising to love Haayin even 10 years later. Haayin jokes about being too busy to rewatch their wedding video, but assumes Hyun-woo will still be with her in 10 years. Hyun-woo tries to convince Haayin that he loves her and is concerned, but Haayin, suspicious of his sudden change, challenges him to die with her if his love is real. Shocked, Hyun-woo deflects and changes the subject. A flashback shows Haayin receiving a call from the doctor. When she asks Hyun-woo to go with her, he coldly declines. She goes to the hospital alone and experiences sudden hallucinations. Time seems to blur as she learns she has a rare, untreatable tumor causing hallucinations. Back home, after recalling her hospital visit, Haayin angrily rants about the unfairness of her condition. Hyun-woo suggests confirming the diagnosis. That night, Hyun-woo sleeps so well that his skin glows. He checks on Haayin, thinking she's dead, but she wakes and sarcastically comments on his bright skin, implying he's happy about her illness. On their way to the hospital, it's revealed that Haayin has poor relations with her family and insists on keeping her illness a secret, fearing they will divide her assets. At the hospital, the diagnosis remains unchanged. Hyun-woo amusingly reconfirms the chances of a miracle. Elsewhere, Hong Soo-cheol is scolded by his grandfather, Hong Man-dae, for overpaying 8 billion in corporate taxes, which Hyun-woo corrected. The stress causes Soo-cheol to have a panic attack. At a crowded restaurant, Hyun-woo meets with his friend Kim Yang-ki, who agrees to represent him in the divorce, but learns about Haayin's illness. They celebrate the fact that Hyun-woo could escape the Hong family unscathed. Yang-ki suggests Hyun-woo try to win Haayin's love and secure his share of her will. The next day, Hyun-woo gives Haayin a bouquet for their 3rd anniversary. At the Hong family dinner, Haayin clashes with her mother, who has filed a lawsuit demanding compensation for land where Haayin's building stands. Hyun-woo and Haayin leave the dinner, with Haayin commenting that Hyun-woo seems the most suspicious of everyone. Meanwhile, Beomja's antics escalate as she crashes an ex-husband's wedding and injures him. Hyun-woo arrives, warning her that this behavior could jeopardize her probation. Back home, it's clear Beomja has a complex relationship with her father, though the chairman does care for her. She continues to suggest that Mo Seul-hee, the chairman's girlfriend, has ulterior motives. In a parallel scene, Seul-hee wins a game against the chairman, hinting at her manipulation as she asks for a future favor. Elsewhere, Haeyin's parents, Kim Sun-hwa and Hong Byung-jun, reveal during a walk that there's more to Haeyin's past, possibly involving a dead sibling, which fuels her mother's resentment. At home, Hyun-woo researches miracle cases related to rare diseases, but is frustrated to find there are too many. Haayin, finding him asleep and seeing his research, hilariously assumes he cares deeply and declares her determination to live, misunderstanding Hyun-woo's intentions. At an event, Haayin tries to bring the sought-after brand Hersina to her store. Her business rival mocks her for coming alone, noting Hersina's preference for partners who build good relationships. Frantic, Haayin tries to call Hyun-woo, but he's in court. Haayin discovers her ex-boyfriend, Yoon is now a powerful tycoon and close to Hersina's owner. She tries to reconnect with him, but Hyun-woo arrives just in time, enabling Haayin to meet the owner. Tension rises between Hyun-woo and Yunsong, with Yunsong accurately guessing that Haayin and Hyun-woo's relationship is fading, surprising Hyun-woo. Meanwhile, Kim Sun-hwa, Cheon Da-hae, and Grace Go have tea, where Da-hae mentions how important Yunsong is for Soo-cheol's business. Realizing Haayin knows him, she suggests dropping the lawsuit if Haayin brings Yunsong to the family's annual hunt. During the hunt, Hyun-woo grows uneasy about Haayin and Yunsong's closeness. Haayin, eager to prove her worth as the heir, tries to catch the most game but gets lost and experiences hallucinations. While in a trance, a boar prepares to attack her, and she is unable to differentiate between reality and dream. Hyun-woo arrives just in time, shooting the boar and saving her. Coming back to previously, a young Hyun-woo excitedly tells his family about marrying Haayin, unaware of her status as an heiress. Hyun-woo gives Haayin a tour of his hometown, remembering how he once tried to prove he could take care of her, thinking she was poor. In the present, Haayin recalls this just before a boar attacks her. Hyun-woo saves her by shooting the boar, and while walking back, Haayin sprains her ankle. Hyun-woo carries her, surprising the Hong family. Elsewhere, it's revealed that the chairman avoided his hunting route due to a shaman's warning. After hearing about Haeyin's attack, Seul-hee tells the chairman the shaman was right. Hyun-woo, a former Marine, inspects the area and suspects the attack was intentional. Soo-cheol and his wife, Cheon Da-hae, seem like the most stable couple in the Hong family. Da-hae, raised strictly by her Ivy League professor father, speaks only Korean and avoids alcohol. However, once Soo-cheol leaves, she surprises everyone by drinking 2 beers and complaining about how much he talks. Hyun-woo feels awkward around Haayin. Encouraged by Soo-cheol, he returns to her. Haayin, noticing his handsomeness, wonders if her illness is affecting her judgment, as she never cared about his looks before. She jokes about cuddling but quickly backs off when she senses his discomfort. The next day, the Hong family reviews CCTV footage of the boar attack and sees a masked man. The chairman suspects his eldest son is behind it, thinking he wants him dead. Back in Seoul, Yunsong arranges a meeting between Haayin and Hersina's CEO, but he seems to have hidden motives. Haayin checks her emails, disappointed that no one is willing to treat her illness. At work, Haayin can't stop thinking about Hyun-woo and visits her doctor, describing her newfound empathy. She starts a medical aid program for employees' families and even allows solicitors into the office, but leaves frustrated as the doctor can't help. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo accompanies Haayin's father, Beom-jun, to meet his elder brother, who wants to reconcile, denying responsibility for the boar attack, but admitting he was at the hunting site. Mo Seol-hee denies any involvement from Beomjun's brother. Elsewhere, Haiyin's mother instructs Grace Go to investigate Yunsong. When Grace is caught following him, she confesses to the background check. It's suggested that both Grace and Yunsong may have been involved in the boat incident, potentially scheming to create conflict between Hyunwoo and Haayin. At Hyunwoo's hometown, his brother's struggling boxing business leads his siblings to ask Haayin not to divorce him. They meet her at work, but she's too busy with a Hersina meeting to hear them out. Later, Hyunwoo's sister texts Haayin about the divorce. When Hyunwoo finds out, he panics and tries to contact her, but she's unreachable. During the meeting, Haayin learns the CEO left due to a family emergency, so she ends up dining with Yunsong, who gives her insider tips on winning over the CEO while secretly turning off her phone. Back home, Hyunwoo anxiously waits for her. She arrives drunk with Yunsong, who is clearly trying to cause tension. After Yunsong leaves, Hyunwoo frantically searches for her phone to delete his sister's text. He distracts Haayin by cornering her, preventing her from seeing the message. Feeling vulnerable, Haayin questions her lack of confidence in his love, and the episode ends with her kissing him. Hyunwoo follows Haayin, trying to delete the divorce message to secure his future, but Haayin mistakes his actions for affection. Hyunwoo sneaks into her room while she's in the bathroom and successfully deletes the text, awkwardly leaving when she catches him. Back in his hometown, Hyunwoo's family discusses him, and his mother recalls a conversation with Haayin's mother. Realizing the stark differences between their families in terms of both wealth and affection, Hyunwoo begins to notice his growing attraction to Haayin. Her beauty and smile brighten his day, and he even worries about her safety on an escalator. He buys her new shoes, insisting it's unsafe for her to wear high heels. When he talks about these moments with his friend, the friend suggests he might be in love, but Hyunwoo brushes it off. Meanwhile, Haayin and Yunseong meet Hersina's owner, and Yunseong feels uneasy about the shoes Hyunwoo gave her. Together, they blackmail the owner into securing a business deal. In Hyunwoo's hometown, his father's campaign for village head struggles due to rumors about Haeyin's absence, suggesting the family lacks influence. Just when Hyunwoo's father is about to lose, Haayin arrives and throws a feast for the village, turning the situation around. It turns out, Hyunwoo's sister had texted Haayin about the problem, and she responded quickly. Hyunwoo's mother tells him about Haayin's arrival. While visiting Hyunwoo's room, Haayin meets her nephew, Hyunwoo's youngest brother's son, and takes him for a ride. However, she experiences another hallucination. Hyunwoo searches the town for her. When he finds her, he scolds her, but Haayin breaks down. Admitting she doesn't know how she ended up there, Hyunwoo comforts her with a hug. Back to previously, Haayin, lonely and about to move to the US, briefly met Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo finds Haayin, who was lost after a hallucination, and hugs her to comfort her. They sit under a tree, and Haayin is touched by the concern of Hyunwoo's family, something she rarely experiences on her own. This warmth is significant to her. Back at Hyunwoo's parents' house, both Haayin and Hyunwoo feel awkward in the same room. Despite his best efforts, Hyunwoo is still attracted to her and leans in to kiss her, but stops himself and leaves the house. After debating whether to return, he ends up at his family's store, drinking with his brother. Haayin, confused and upset by Hyunwoo abruptly leaving her, goes to find him and overhears him saying he doesn't want to go back to their room, which annoys her. She returns alone, feeling hurt. While Hyunwoo drinks at the store, a flashback reveals more about the couple's painful past. 2 years ago, they lost their baby. Haayin coldly and methodically cleared the nursery, which hurt Hyunwoo deeply. He began sleeping separately in what was meant to be the nursery, mourning alone. That night, Hyunwoo cried quietly, while Haayin blamed herself, both trapped in their grief. This tragedy seems to have caused the rift between them, though the full story isn't fully clear. The next day, Hyunwoo returns to the room to find Haayin preparing to leave. Before they depart, they meet the villagers, including a grandmother with dementia who suddenly recognizes Hyunwoo and gives him unexpected advice about divorce, shocking the Baek family. Haayin, confused, doesn't dwell on it, and they leave in silence. After they depart, Dugwan, Mi-sun, and Hyun-tae discuss the couple's strained relationship. Mi-sun recalls how passionately Hyunwoo once reacted when she offered Haayin money to break up with him, wondering what changed. When Hyunwoo and Haayin arrive home, it's raining heavily. Haayin notes that she didn't wait for Hyunwoo and notices him getting soaked while holding the umbrella for her. On the way, they encounter Yunseong, who has been invited by Haayin's mother to stay at the guest house. While freshening up, Haayin sees a line on her palm, and recalls complaining about her short lifeline during a visit to Hyun-woo's house. Later, when she meets Yoon-seong, he lies, saying Hyun-woo is fine with him staying, and slyly asks if they sleep in different rooms. It's revealed that Yoon-seong already knew about their strained relationship from Grace Go, who shared that despite their issues, Hyun-woo's opinion still carries weight in the Hong family. Recognizing that Hyun-woo is the glue keeping the family together, Yoon-seong plots to drive a wedge between the couple, hoping Hyun-woo's absence will further his plans. His statements to Haayin are part of his manipulation, intended to deepen the divide between her and Hyun-woo. Soo-cheol explains to Yoon-seong that all the Hong family houses are connected through an underground network, meaning the entire family essentially lives together, as per the chairman's design, despite appearing to enter different houses. As this conversation unfolds, Haayin leaves, not feeling up to eating. Later, Soo-cheol amusingly tells Yoon-seong that his mother got him a talisman to prevent Haayin from overpowering him, which Yoon-seong finds laughable. Meanwhile, Haayin visits the hospital for a checkup. On her way out, she sees the man who once delivered juice to her office, the same man whose baby was in the ICU. After asking about the baby's condition, she decides to help him by ordering 250 juice bottles for the office. Soo-cheol proposes an extravagant 1 trillion won project to the chairman, but Hyun-woo steps in, warning of the significant risks. The chairman agrees with Hyun-woo and dismisses the proposal. Later, Hyun-woo gets a call from the dog owner at the hunting site, informing him about dashcam footage from a gas delivery person on the day of the boar attack. Although the memory card's footage was deleted due to storage issues, Hyun-woo retrieves it for restoration. In the Hong kitchen, Mo Seul-hee and some experts prepare a meal for the chairman, but Beom-ja interrupts, insulting Seul-hee again. When they're alone, Seul-hee hits Beom-ja. Despite Beom-ja's complaints to the chairman, he doesn't believe her. Furious, Beom-ja orders a background check on Seul-hee. Haayin experiences another hallucination but snaps back when Yoon-seong finds her. They proceed to a media interview, though Yoon-seong grows suspicious of her health. He later learns from Grace Go that Haayin has been skipping family medical checkups and asks Grace to investigate further. Meanwhile, Haayin's doctor informs her that her white blood cell count is too low for CAR T-cell therapy, warning that the German researchers may refuse to perform the procedure. Despite this, Haayin remains determined to go ahead with the treatment. Beom-ja overhears the conversation, and when Haayin explains the situation, Beom-ja is left in shock. Da-hee, along with Yoon-seong, searches Hyun-woo's house, and Yoon-seong becomes suspicious after finding a locked safe. It's revealed that Da-hee is not who she seems. She married Soo-cheol as part of Yoon-seong's long-term plan, and she's actually 5 years older than Soo-cheol, showing the plan has been in motion for years. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo's secretary is on Yoon-seong's side, and Grace Go manipulates him into contacting Haayin's secretary to learn why they are going to Germany. Haayin and Hyun-woo reconcile, sharing instant ramen. Haayin explains her funeral wishes and reveals that her mother forced her to exclude Hyun-woo from her will in exchange for permission to marry him. At the same time, Haayin's mother is preparing century-old ginseng for Soo-cheol, claiming he is weak. Beom-ja argues that Haayin should have it due to her illness, as she's one of the few who knows about Haayin's condition. Later, Beom-ja visits Haayin's father, who is caring for his terminally ill pet snail, and breaks down emotionally. In Germany, Hyun-woo and Haayin share a hotel room, and Hyun-woo asks if he can start sleeping in the same room. Haayin agrees and compliments him for not being greedy about inheritance. This leaves Hyun-woo feeling awkward, since he had been contemplating those very things. At the spa, Grace scolds Da-hee for being careless and getting caught at the hunting site. She then manipulates Haayin's mother into believing that Hyun-woo is making things difficult for Soo-cheol out of revenge for not being included in Haayin's will. While Soo-cheol tries to convince his grandfather about his project, Da-hee remembers her first encounter with Soo-cheol. It's revealed that Da-hee and Yoon-seong were in the same orphanage, and she met Soo-cheol there. After learning about his wealthy background, she proposed marriage, but he rejected her and left. During a family meal, Beom-ja comments that Soo-cheol's son doesn't resemble him. They ask Grace if a DNA test was done, and she confirms it. Offended by this, Soo-cheol leaves with Da-hee and their son. Later, he apologizes to Da-hee for being weak. In Yongduri, the village is bustling with visitors due to Haayin's presence. Do-gwan feels confident about winning the village head election, but he finds out that his opponent offered Haayin an apple, which went viral. Now, Yongduri is associated with apples instead of pears. At a German train station, a woman tries to talk to Hyun-woo, but Haayin makes her leave. They then discuss their first loves, making each other jealous. Haayin shares that she met her first love on a bus ride. Back at the Hong residence, repairmen are fixing the CCTV cameras. Grace uses the opportunity to have one of them open the locked box in Hyun-woo's room, where they find the divorce papers. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo and Haayin search for the lovelock they placed on a bridge, but can't find it. They visit various places, eat together, and Haayin buys a 4-leaf clover for good luck, expressing that what she wants most is time. Haayin and Hyun-woo visit the research center for Haeyin's therapy shot, but Haayin experiences a hallucination about her dead brother and gets lost outside the hospital. When Hyun-woo finally finds her, Haayin reveals that as children, she and her brother were involved in a mysterious sea accident. Her brother saved her but drowned in the process, and from that day, her mother couldn't forgive her for his death. Meanwhile, Yunseong gifts the portrait to the chairman, gaining his favor. Later, the chairman learns about his bookkeeper's embezzlement and suspects an imminent attack, believing the whistleblower is someone close to him. While discussing this with Seoul-hee, they find a wiretapping device. The signal leads them to Hyun-woo's room, making it seem as if Hyun-woo is the whistleblower. They forcefully open his safe and find the divorce papers, escalating the situation into chaos. Haeyin's mother calls to inform Haayin about the discovery, but Haayin quickly realizes it's an unfair and deliberate attack. She turns off her phone and later does the same with Hyun-woo's. Elsewhere, Beomja uncovers that Seoul-hee is a fraud. Her real name is Oh Sun-young, a woman officially declared dead 30 years ago. She has a criminal past, having been imprisoned for adultery and delivering a child while in prison. As Haayin and Hyun-woo take an evening walk, awaiting the therapy results the next day, Haayin says she needs all the luck she can get. In response, Hyun-woo rushes to buy every 4-leaf clover charm he can find, making a bouquet out of them. On his way back, he even finds their love lock. Just as Hyun-woo is about to give her the bouquet, Haayin receives a text from her mother with a picture of the divorce agreement, and her world shatters. She asks Hyun-woo to deny it, but he cannot. Haeyin's first love was Hyun-woo all along. The day he confessed to her, she secretly followed his bus in her car. Haayin is devastated by Hyun-woo's betrayal and, after returning to their hotel room, packs her things and leaves. However, as the elevator doors open, she suddenly finds herself disoriented in the middle of the road. Just as she is about to be hit by a truck, Hyun-woo rushes to save her, but Haayin, losing her will to live, pleads with him to let her die. Elsewhere, Soo-cheol suspects his aunt Beomja of pushing Hyun-woo towards divorce and shares his suspicions with Da-hae, who knows the real truth. Haayin undergoes a procedure in Germany, but the doctor informs Hyun-woo that it failed to boost her white blood cells. He also notes that terminally ill patients can become suicidal, needing something to live for. Realizing this, Hyun-woo deliberately provokes Haayin, hoping her anger will reignite her will to live. His plan succeeds, and Haayin becomes determined to make him pay. Meanwhile, Soo-cheol secures a contract with Yunseong for the city resort project by mentioning the chairman's rival might target Yunseong's investment. Yunseong and his team then plan to buy Queen's Group stocks after the chairman's arrest, having already tricked many directors into using their stocks as collateral, positioning Yunseong to become the largest shareholder. Upon returning to Korea, Haayin publicly vows in front of her family to make Hyun-woo pay. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo follows the lead from the dashcam footage and inspects the shop where the memory card was being repaired. Hyun-woo visits the chairman, presenting evidence of an external conspiracy against him, though the mastermind is still unknown. Unbeknownst to them, Yunseong watches the entire conversation through a hidden camera inside the Napoleon painting he gave the chairman. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo's mother calls, but Haeyin's mother answers and bluntly tells her that she will ensure Hyun-woo and Haayin get divorced. The next day, Haayin, upset, dresses extravagantly for work, signaling her bad mood. She orders an audit of Hyun-woo's department. Their secretaries try to keep them apart, but they can't avoid each other. Meanwhile, Queen's directors realize their investment has failed. Grace Go sees director Jo off as he flees the country to avoid embezzlement charges. Soo-cheol, learning to ride a bike for the first time, something his mother forbade, falls during a lesson, causing his mother to throw a fit. He insists he wants to teach his son the things he never got to do, touching Da-hae's heart. Later, Da-hae finalizes a US apartment deal. Haayin's father hires investigators who confirm that Hyun-woo is not cheating. Despite this, Haayin remains suspicious until she discovers Hyun-woo had been sending condolence flowers to Kim Min-ji, an employee whose mother had cancer, on her behalf. Haayin meets with Yunsong, who suggests she divorce Hyun-woo so he can replace him, which offends her. During one of Haayin's episodes, it's revealed that Yunsong stole her medication. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo and his lawyer friend learn more about Yunsong, discovering that his adoptive parents died mysteriously in a drunk driving accident, even though they weren't wealthy, and Yunsong attended an expensive school. In a twist, Seoul-hee reveals herself as Yunsong's mother, and they've been scheming together to get rich. However, Seoul-hee, seeing the chairman's affection for his children, offers herself as a scapegoat to win his favor. Hyun-woo returns home to find Haayin playing with a cat. It's clear she has lost all her memories from the trip, including the divorce and therapy. Hyun-woo is devastated, and Haayin hugs him, saying she loves him. Haayin had lied earlier about a raccoon named Yong-suk, linking back to a moment when Hyun-woo called for her comfort on the rooftop. 4 years ago, Hyun-woo proposed to Haayin at an aquarium she had secretly rented. In the present, Haayin, confused by her lost memories, tells Hyun-woo she wants a divorce, and they finalize it with their lawyers. Afterward, Haayin revisits places they used to enjoy together. She overhears Hyun-woo telling a friend he still wants to be with her, which stirs her emotions. Then, Hyun-woo's secretary informs Yunseong about Haayin's cancer, leaving him devastated. It's revealed that Yunseong has secretly loved Haayin all along. He expresses his feelings to her, but she refuses to fire Hyun-woo, saying the company needs him. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo's mother tries to apologize to Haayin's mother, but is met with rudeness, leaving her heartbroken. Hyun-woo discovers that the expensive watch was bought by Seoul-hee, but belongs to Yoon-seong, raising his suspicions about their connection. He later confronts Yoon-seong, warning him not to harm Haayin. Meanwhile, Soo-cheol faces trouble with the Queen's resort project due to military resistance. Hyun-woo negotiates a solution, but rumors of charges against the chairman cause investors to pull out. Yoon-seong blames Hyun-woo and offers to be the sole investor. Before the contract is signed, Hyun-woo warns the chairman that failure would transfer his 6% stock to Yoon-seong. Manipulated by Yoon-seong and Seoul-hee, the chairman expels Hyun-woo, believing a shaman's warning. Hyun-woo finds his IDs deactivated, realizing the chairman is firing him, but Haayin steps in just in time to stop the process. Afterward, Beomja confronts Hyun-woo about rumors of a mistress, and when he denies them, she reveals Seoul-hee's true identity. With Beomja's help and her investigator Conan, Hyun-woo uncovers links between Seoul-hee and Yoon-seong, tracing back to an orphanage sponsored by Queens. The couple from the hunting site confirms Yoon-seong was one of the sponsored children, tying him and Seoul-hee directly to the scheme. The chairman appoints Seoul-hee as his legal guardian, giving her decision-making power. At the chairman's 80th birthday party, Beomja notices her mother's ring on Seoul-hee's finger and exposes her true identity in front of everyone. A confrontation erupts, with the chairman siding with Seoul-hee and hitting Beomja. Crying, Beomja leaves but submits hair samples from both Seoul-hee and Yoon-seong to Conan for a DNA test. Soo-cheol, eager to impress, presents an animated toy resembling his grandfather, which annoys the elder. Meanwhile, Grace Go cuts the CCTV cameras, allowing Da-hai to leave with their son unnoticed. When Soo-cheol finds her note, he searches for them, but to no avail. At the same time, Seoul-hee plays a chess-like game with the chairman, secretly drugging him and paralyzing him. As he loses consciousness, she confesses her schemes. After the chairman is hospitalized, Seoul-hee, as his legal guardian, takes control over his health and company, ousting the Hong family. Yoon-seong's firm acquires the majority of Queen's shares. Afterward, the Hong family arrives at their villa to find land fraud protesters and reporters waiting for them. Seon-hwa, Haayin's mother, speaks with Grace Go, who suggests using the back gate for a safer entrance. However, Grace has orchestrated this moment to ensure the reporters capture the Hong family's humiliation as they appear homeless. As the Hongs reach the second gate, Grace changes her demeanor, informing them that they have been kicked out of the house and that their stocks and other possessions have been frozen on Seoul-hee's orders. Hyun-woo drives both his and the Hong family to Yongduri, where his family, though surprised, welcomes the Hongs. Seon-hwa throws a fit, but steps in cow dung, and Hyun-woo's sister cleans her expensive shoes. At dinner, Haeyin's father admits the food is delicious, while Soo-cheol fusses over water bottles until Haayin hits him, shocking everyone. Hyun-woo plays it off, insisting she doesn't hit. Haayin dismisses any chance of reconciliation. Soo-cheol is upset. Yunsong expresses his frustration about being separated from Haayin. Beomja, feeling guilty about the chairman's condition, regrets her treatment of Seoul-hee, and an old lady with dementia comforts her, pretending to be her mother. Haayin realizes Hyun-woo was the boy she met on her last day of high school, but he pretends not to remember. The next morning, Haayin helps Hyun-woo's mother with cooking, but struggles with the task. Seon-hwa, upset by criticism from locals at a salon, leaves early despite Mi-sun's kindness. Yoon-seong expands the business as the youngest chairman, while Hyun-woo secretly gathers evidence against him. Grace is disappointed to learn that Yoon-seong has no plans for her. Meanwhile, Haeyin's former secretary denies knowing her location to Yoon-seong, information relayed by Hyun-woo's former secretary. Hyun-woo learns that the protesters are victims of a double contract and land fraud. A broker had offered them 5 times the market value of their land, but signed a contract with Queens at only double the market price. Back in Yongduri, Haeyin's father, Beom-jun, attempts to reach out to all his contacts for help but finds no support. After drinking with Hyun-woo's father, he expresses his humiliation as the head of the family when his best friend refuses to lend him 20 million won. Later, Haayin experiences another hallucination and faints. When she wakes up, she is surrounded by concerned family members, except for her mother. Beomja tries to persuade Seon-hwa to be kind to Haayin, warning that she will regret her behavior if she knew the truth about Haeyin's illness, but her pleas fall on deaf ears. It's revealed that Hyun-woo has been investigating the land fraud case. He explains the situation to Haayin and informs her that he has sued the broker, securing a no-fly order against him from the court. Meanwhile, Yoon-seong visits Haeyin's room and discovers her hospital ID. He checks her medical reports and learns that she only has 3 months left to live. At the same time, Haayin arrives at the hospital for her injections. Yoon-seong and Seoul-hee have another disagreement regarding Haayin, leading Yoon-seong to secretly relocate the chairman as a precaution. Following this, Hyun-woo receives a threatening message demanding he lift the no-fly order and subsequently confronts the broker with a group of thugs. Soo-cheol accidentally discovers Baek Hyun-tae's boxing gym, where he learns that Hyun-woo is actually a boxing pro. At the same time, Hyun-woo confronts the broker and his men, fighting them off and turning them into the police. Yoon-seong threatens Haayin, insisting she must return, or he will inform her parents about her condition. As Soo-cheol and Hyun-tae head home, Soo-cheol confronts Yoon-seong, accusing him of using him. He begs Yoon-seong to let him know if Da-hye is alright, but Yoon-seong dismisses him and walks away. Later, Yoon-seong checks in with Da-hye to ensure all her communication channels are severed. When she asks about Soo-cheol, he lies, saying that Soo-cheol is angry with her and wants revenge. Meanwhile, Haayin anxiously waits for Hyun-woo to return, worrying when he arrives bruised. She tends to his wounds with ointments and band-aids. The next morning at breakfast, both Soo-cheol and Hyun-woo lie about their injuries, claiming they fell down. As Hyun-woo is about to leave, Soo-cheol nearly mentions Yoon-seong, but Haayin interrupts, reminding him to keep Yoon-seong's presence a secret. Later, while they enjoy ice cream together, Haayin muses that if they had broken up sooner, Hyun-woo might have found someone better. However, Hyun-woo insists he would have made the same choice in the past and would choose Haayin again. Meanwhile, Seoul-hee is searching for the chairman, and Yoon-seong becomes more determined to marry Haayin. Hyun-woo faces reassignment due to malpractice charges that Yoon-seong threatens him with, and Yoon-seong mentions his visit to Yongduri. Seoul-hee makes a deal with Grace, offering her the CEO position in exchange for tracking the chairman. Beomja, learning of the chairman's relocation, heads to Seoul and encounters Yongduri, who offers advice. Hyun-woo's father, feeling unsettled, is replaced as village head. Soo-cheol discovers that Da-hye was recently online. Grace agrees to help Hyun-woo, Kim Young-gi, and Beomja after they confront her about tax evasion and malpractices. Haayin learns of Yoon-seong's false accusations against Hyun-woo and later tells Hyun-woo that Yoon-seong wants her back, sparking jealousy. Hyun-woo's mother overhears Haayin speaking with her doctor and takes extra care of her, preparing a special breakfast. Meanwhile, at the gym, after a long wait, Soo-hyun finally reaches Da-hai and sends her a text message with directions for Jung-woo's vaccination. This reminder of Soo-hyun's affection for both her and Jung-woo prompts Da-hai to reflect on their loving moments together. Seon-hwa confronts Haayin as she prepares to leave for Seoul, accusing her of colluding with Yoon-seong. Just in time, Hyun-woo's mother arrives and offers Haayin a ride on her tractor. As Haayin solemnly thanks her, a tear rolls down her mother-in-law's cheek, reflecting the emotional weight of the moment. Meanwhile, Grace and Beomja successfully locate the chairman. Haayin is preparing for a press conference with Yoon-seong, unaware that Hyun-woo has not been informed. He only learns about it after they leave for the conference and decides to follow them. At the press conference, Yoon-seong announces Haayin's return to her original position. However, Haayin takes a surprising turn, exposing Yoon-seong's threats against her and Hyun-woo. In this tense moment, Hyun-woo and Haayin share a meaningful glance, indicating their unspoken connection. Later, it's disclosed that a drunken Hyun-woo left the trail of leaves outside Haayin's door, hoping to see if she still loves him. A flashback shows a playful moment from their past, where Haayin asked Hyun-woo to protect his drunken self from other women. Hyun-woo, in his drunken state, stops outside Haayin's door and confesses his love, with Haayin quietly listening from the other side, underscoring their deep feelings for one another. During a press conference, Haayin reveals her terminal illness, shocking her family, and she faints while trying to reach Hyun-woo. In a voiceover, she regrets not expressing her love for him sooner. Hyun-woo watches over her in the ICU as her family arrives in a panic. Meanwhile, Beomja and Grace are intercepted by Seoul on their way to the chairman, who later allows them to see him, but he is suffering from temporary dementia, foiling Beomja's plans to confront Seoul. Haeyin's family struggles with the news, with her father feeling guilty and Soo-cheol breaking down. Haayin wakes up, apologizes to Soo-cheol, and later confesses her love to Hyun-woo, who humorously shares that he prayed for her recovery by threatening the gods. Haeyin's family rushes to her side, and Seon-hwa, overwhelmed with guilt, tearfully apologizes for how she treated Haayin, leading to an emotional embrace between them. Seol-hee brings the chairman home, pretending to be loyal, but he remains wary of her. Seol-hee and Yoon-seong scramble to find the chairman's secret slush fund to buy more queen stocks and secure their control over the company, but they can't locate it despite it being transferred to Seol-hee's name. Meanwhile, Haayin, showered with affection, learns the public views her as Juliet, longing for her ex-lover. To dispel rumors of unrequited love, she asks Hyun-woo to show affection towards her, and he gladly agrees. Haayin confesses her love for Hyun-woo, explaining she knew about his unhappiness with her family and didn't want him to suffer. Hyun-woo promises to stay by her side. The next day, Hyun-woo faces an internal audit committee and is initially found guilty due to Yoon-seong's fabricated charges. However, his lawyer friends successfully expose the flaws in the accusations, thwarting Yoon-seong's plan. Furious, Yoon-seong orders a land broker to eliminate Hyun-woo. While chatting with his lawyer friends, Hyun-woo shares documents about the slush fund. In a flashback, it's revealed that the shredded documents were pieced together by Haayin, her secretary, and Hyun-woo in Yongduri. Meanwhile, Beomja has Conan spying on Seoul-hee to protect the chairman. The Hong and Baek families gather for dinner to celebrate Haeyin's discharge from the hospital, discussing ways to improve her health. The next day, Hyun-woo informs the Hong family that the slush fund is in Korea. Grace tips them off about a suspicious warehouse, and the family disguises themselves as wholesalers to investigate, with Grace posing as a real estate broker. Haayin reveals that the slush fund is tied to artwork purchased by her grandfather at inflated prices to generate large cash refunds. Hyun-woo and Haayin are pursued by an unknown man. In a hallucination, Haayin sees Yoon-seong's face transform into Hyun-woo's, leaving her confused and afraid as Yoon-seong locks the car. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo becomes enraged by hate comments directed at Haayin and vows to take legal action against those responsible. Afterward, Haayin and Hyun-woo review the CCTV footage at the warehouse, where they initially suspected the slush fund to be hidden. Haayin recognizes a truck from the footage as the same one she saw on the day the chairman ordered them to leave to change the ventilators. This revelation indicates that the slush fund was transported from the warehouse to the Hong residence on that day. As it begins to rain, Hyun-woo steps out to get the car, while Yoon-seong approaches Haayin, who who mistakes him for Hyun-woo and gets into his car. Hyun-woo chases after them, but Haayin soon realizes her mistake and exits Yoon-seong's car, accusing him of hiding the truth. Despite wanting to leave, she stays to search for clues about the slush fund. At the Hong household, Yoon-seong prepares for a dinner date with Haayin, but she shows little interest, wanting to see her grandfather instead. Hyun-woo regains consciousness, realizing the broker intends to kill him, while Yoon-seong deceitfully recounts false stories of saving Haayin in the past, revealing his manipulative side. Meanwhile, Dahai's uninvited guest is the finance director of Queens, who is revealed to be Gun-woo's biological father. Back at the Hong residence, Haayin meets her ailing grandfather and leaves him a secret recording pen, instructing him to leave a message. As she departs, the chairman cryptically mentions an air raid shelter. Lost in the garden, Haayin briefly confuses Hyun-woo for Yoon-seong, but he convinces her of his identity, and they leave together. Yoon-seong, enraged, contacts the broker, but it's revealed that Hyun-woo negotiated for his life, arguing the legal consequences. Later, Hyun-woo and Haayin spend the night at his apartment, enjoying a moment of happiness and normalcy, with Haayin sharing details about the secret pen left with her grandfather. Soo-cheol practices boxing, while Baek-hyun-tae's unconventional family arrangement is revealed. Meanwhile, Gun-woo's father argues over a stolen gold Buddha statue, leading Dahi to drug him, take the money and statue, and leave. Grace reveals to Yoon-seong and Seoul-hee that she helped Hyun-woo enter the Hong mansion and informs them that Hyun-woo suspects the slush fund is hidden there. Reporters photograph Hyun-woo's house, and Mi-sun kicks one of them before they escape. A team is formed to patrol the area, with Soo-cheol eager to join. Hyun-woo and Haayin visit Yongduri to watch the sunset, where Hyun-woo gives her a ring, asking her to reconsider the divorce. Haayin tearfully refuses, explaining her worsening illness and recalling the day she mistook Yoon-seong for him. Meanwhile, Yongsong, with Beomja's help and Conan's drone, searches for his mother. They bond over their pasts. Beomja shares her regrets about her father, and Yongsong talks about his childhood and his mother's dementia. At the same time, the chairman regains consciousness and secretly hides the medicine Seoul-hee gave him, pretending to take it. Back in Yongduri, the entire family discusses the air raid shelter and concludes that the slush fund might be hidden in the panic room. However, while everyone is aware of the panic room's existence, no one knows its exact location. Hyun-woo suggests there might be a secret floor plan to uncover. Later that night, while patrolling, Soo-cheol encounters Dahai, who returns with the gold Buddha statue and Gun-woo. She apologizes to the family and returns most of the money. Seon-hwa is furious, but Soo-cheol defends Dahai, insisting that Gun-woo is his child. They eventually reconcile, with Soo-cheol emphasizing that he cannot live without her and Gun-woo. The next day, Hyun-woo, with help from Kim Young-gi, acquires the house's original floor plan and discovers a hidden door leading to a panic room from the chairman's elevator. They plan to confront Seoul-hee with charges of negligence. Meanwhile, the chairman, regaining his senses momentarily, records a message using Haeyin's pen before heading toward the stairs, setting a somber tone. The Hongs discover that the chairman has died from a fall, which results in Seoul-hee losing her power of attorney, allowing the Hongs to regain control of their house and belongings. After the funeral, the family visits the house and opens the door to the panic room, bringing the episode to a suspenseful close. Meanwhile, Haayin and Hyun-woo's mothers reflect on Hyun-woo's childhood, revealing that he had once saved Haayin from drowning when they were children. In a flashback, the chairman recalls the first time he brought his family to their new house, recording the passage to the panic room. In the present, the Hong family tours the house one last time, figuratively accompanied by his picture. They enter the panic room only to find it completely empty. From the stenciled dust marks on the floor, it's clear that Seoul-hee had all the money relocated from the panic room. When they encounter her in the living room, she refuses to leave, asserting her status as the legal resident. The Hongs realize they will need a court order to evict her. Meanwhile, Haayin retrieves the secret pen and listens to the recording. The chairman expresses gratitude for the chance to address his family one last time. He shares his condition, explaining that he can only remember for a short period. He urges his family to live fulfilling lives, free from the regrets he carries. The Hongs attend the chairman's funeral, where Haayin confides in Hyun-woo about her sadness, expressing her desperate wish to live. Seoul-hee discovers the passage to the panic room through old video recordings of the chairman and moves the money into a vault, handing it to Yoon-seong to further their takeover of Queen's group. Meanwhile, in Yongduri, Baek Do-gwan and Baek-hyun-tae discuss how the Hongs will be close to overtaking Yoon-seong's share. With only a 3.4% gap, remaining once they reclaim their stocks. As Haayin and Hyunwoo's fathers share a final drink before the Hongs leave, Hyunwoo receives a call from a German lab, confirming a suitable procedure for Haayin, but with the side effect of memory loss. Hyunwoo and the two fathers agree to keep this a secret from everyone, planning to tell Haayin only when they arrive in Germany to prevent her from refusing the surgery. The entire family rejoices over the hopeful news, and Haayin can hardly contain her relief. After verifying the existence of the procedure with Hyunwoo multiple times, she breaks down in gratitude, feeling as if she has awakened from a long nightmare. The next day, Haayin and Hyunwoo enjoy a joyful day of travel, taking photographs and spending quality time together. Haayin shares the first of 3 secrets, revealing that the MP3 player with an H belongs to her, and that she was the girl he met on his first day of high school. Hyunwoo, surprised, admits he thought she was the one when he first saw her. Haayin then shows him the ring she's wearing, declaring her intention to revoke their divorce petition. Misuk shares this story with her neighborhood ladies when Haayin arrives. They are applying balsam on their fingers, explaining the legend that if the balsam remains until the first snow, their first love will come true. Haayin participates, showing her balsam-tinted finger to Hyunwoo when he returns from work and telling him about the legend. Hyunwoo, feeling jealous, asks her not to complicate things since they are already married. Meanwhile, Yunsong makes moves to launder the slush fund to buy company stocks, fearing the return of the eldest Hong son. Hyunwoo's party gathers evidence against him, though they lose contact with the land broker, later found murdered in his car. Grace offers a home spa day for Hyunwoo and Haayin's mothers and learns about Haayin's surgery. She confronts Dahae, who says she will stay with Seoul, the only one who ever loved her. Yongsong meets Beomja and gives her condolence money, touching her deeply. Seoul announces that he will stay at the Baek residence with Dahae and Junwoo, while Hyunwoo and Haayin plan to live in Hyunwoo's apartment. Grace informs Seoul-hee about Haayin's surgery, which Yunsong overhears. He then asks Grace to find out where Haayin is having the surgery. The next day, apart from Seoul's family, everyone leaves the Baek residence. Hyunwoo and Haayin are mistaken for newlyweds upon arriving at their apartment, a feeling that Haayin embraces. They enjoy blissful days together, cooking, going out, and capturing moments in a photo booth. At work, Hyunwoo meets Yunsong, who, aware of Haayin's impending memory loss, sees it as a chance to win her over. Meanwhile, Haayin, shopping with her former secretary, expresses her desire to turn the department store into a space for memories, moving beyond profit-driven goals. In Yongduri, Baek Hyun-tae's wife reveals Hyun-tae's financial losses in cryptocurrency and stalks to her mother-in-law, who grants her freedom. However, upon learning that Hong Beom-jun has gifted the Baeks a building, her stance shifts dramatically. At the department store, Haayin visits the Christmas section and reveals to Hyunwoo that he is her first love, recalling the snowfall he arranged for her. Meanwhile, the entire family, except Haayin, learns about the memory loss risk with her surgery. On the way to the hospital in Germany, Haayin admits to lying about a raccoon on the rooftop. At the hospital, Hyunwoo tearfully tells Haayin she will lose her memories, and she begs to live. Hyunwoo records a heartfelt video, vowing to stay by her side even if she forgets him, because of their promise. Hyunwoo and Haayin are on their honeymoon, wandering in a park. Haayin notices a man placing flowers on a grave and shares with Hyunwoo that she appreciates how the cemetery is located in a park, frequented by visitors rather than isolated. Hyunwoo remarks that if Haayin were to die, he would live one more day before joining her, as he cannot live without her. In the present, Hyunwoo desperately tries to persuade Haayin to live, while Yunsong prepares to leave for Germany. Seoul-hee warns him that his position at the upcoming stakeholders meeting is at risk, but Yunsong insists he won't stop until he dies, prompting Seoul-hee to offer her help. Yunsong catches a flight to Germany. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo sneaks away to pray for Haayin's survival at a church, but she follows him and expresses her lack of interest in living. In the car, Hyunwoo insists they can't delay the surgery. Haayin takes him to a lavender field, reminiscing about their past visit. Hyunwoo argues that her memories define her, but Haayin asserts she will live and die as herself, with or without them. Beomja, infatuated with Yongsong, visits Yongduri and has an awkward encounter with Seoul. Despite the embarrassment, Yongsong invites her to visit again. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo tells Haayin the family wants to speak with her, but their emotional attempts to persuade her fail, and she overhears them crying. Dahae, while out with Junwoo, rejects Seoul-hee's request to betray the Hongs, with Seonhwa defending her. Hyun-woo, after meeting the doctor who stresses the urgency of Haeyin's surgery, finds her praying at a church. Despite his pleas, Haein refuses the surgery, expressing her desire to remember love. Later, they visit a restaurant where Hyun-woo employs a new tactic to make Haein yield: jealousy. He intentionally flaunts his attractiveness to provoke jealousy in Haein, as other women find him appealing. Yunseong sees the two together and becomes furious. Grace discovers Seoul-hee's plan to eliminate everyone, including Da-hee, by sending hitmen to Germany, putting Haein in danger. Though hesitant to call Hyun-woo, he rushes to the car just as a truck collides with it, fearing for Haein. Fortunately, she escaped because she had stepped out to buy charms. Overcome with emotion, Hyun-woo breaks down and Haayin comforts him. She then agrees to the surgery, not wanting to see Hyun-woo in pain. Meanwhile, in Yongduri, Mi-suk convinces Hyun-tae to give her the building. At the adventure park, Da-hae disappears, but after Soo-cheol calls out for her, she decides to return, unable to leave him. Meanwhile, Haayin, preparing for her surgery, tours the city and smiles when encountering the spirit of her late brother. In the hospital, Haayin asks Hyun-woo to share times when she hurt him, and he reflects before professing his love. Haayin gives him a diary of her memories, asking him to read it when she recovers. As her surgery begins, Hyun-woo is arrested by Interpol, while Eun-seong plots to isolate Haayin by targeting her father for embezzlement. As Haeyin's memories turn to dust on screen, she wakes up and says, "Baek Hyun-woo," telling Yunseong that it's the only name she remembers. Yunseong spins a fabricated story, claiming that Hyun-woo is her criminal ex-husband and that he and Haein were still in love from college. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo, detained, catches sight of the first snow outside, which Haein also sees. Upon noticing her balsam-painted finger, she experiences pain. While Haein was unconscious, he found her diary, read it, and burned it before discarding it. He tells Haein that Hyun-woo stalked her for her inheritance after cheating on her, leading to her previous suicide attempt. Upon returning to Korea, Haeyin's family is eager to see her, but she remains distant. Yunseong selectively informs her about her mother's lawsuit and how her brother carried a talisman to neutralize her energy. Haayin is completely under Yunseong's control and doesn't trust anyone else. Moreover, Yunseong plans to marry Haayin, and she agrees, believing she consented before losing her memories. When they arrive home, Yunseong reveals to his mother that he possesses a recording of her drugging the chairman, threatening her to stay away from Haayin. Meanwhile, Haayin is startled to find her cabinets empty. She discovers the MP3 player in Hyun-woo's room and feels curious about him, thinking they share the same taste in music. Driven by this curiosity, Haayin visits Hyun-woo in prison. However, no matter what he says, Haayin refuses to believe him. After returning home, she finds Yunseong frantic over her absence. Despite her memory loss, Haayin remains assertive, telling him she doesn't appreciate his interference without her permission. In response, Yunseong installs a tracking device on her car to monitor her movements. When Haayin visits the office, she meets her former secretary, Miss Na. Although Secretary Na is in a different department, Haayin decides to keep her around. Meanwhile, at Hyun-woo's trial, he is acquitted based on CCTV footage, revealing the real murderer, who is subsequently arrested. Haayin begins to follow Hyun-woo, keeping a diary of his movements and discovering that he has a loving, warm relationship with his family. Beomja visits as a chief sponsor for Hyun-woo's prison release celebration, but her true focus is on Yongsong. Afterward, Beomja and Yongsong go outside, where she confesses her feelings, but her mic is still on, providing free entertainment for everyone inside. During a high executive meeting, Yunseong learns about Hyun-woo's acquittal and that he has requested to rejoin the company, which they cannot legally refuse. Meanwhile, Haayin and Hyun-woo meet, and she expresses that she feels uncomfortable in his presence. Later, when she returns home, she finds a package addressed to her, but doesn't open it. The next day, she receives an email invite from herself and ends up at the aquarium where Hyun-woo is waiting with the same invite. Their wedding video plays and the employees gift a bouquet to Hyun-woo, telling him it's from Haayin. Confused, Haayin listens, as Hyun-woo encourages her to doubt everything and stay away from Yunseong, who has been manipulating and isolating her. Upon returning home, Haayin visits Yunseong. She notices he has no scar on his hand, while Hyun-woo does. Later, she finally opens the package to find a barely burnt notebook. It turns out the notebook was found by hospital staff in Germany, who picked it up from the garbage and sent it back to her. Haayin reads her letters to herself, which remind her of Hyun-woo and their relationship. She contacts Hyun-woo and leaves to meet him. Just as they are about to cross the road, Haayin disappears, and Hyun-woo is struck by a car. Finally, Haeyin's father hires detectives to keep an eye on her in Germany. They report that their investigation suggests Yunsong has unrequited love and poses a danger to everyone. Haayin wakes from a dream, recalling Hyun-woo's proposal and the challenges with her family. She now faces Yunsong, who manipulates her into agreeing to marry him, with a plan to leave for the US at dawn. Hyun-woo, with Kim Yang-gil, searches for Haayin at the Queen's hunting grounds. At the hunting grounds, Yunsong reveals Soo-hyun's involvement in tampering with Haeyin's brother's boat, leading to his death, while Yunsong desperately looks for them and spots the two leaving. Hyun-woo and Haayin manage to escape, and Kim Yang-gi has summoned the police and an ambulance. However, Yunsong catches up, hysterically begging Haayin to come with him as the helicopter arrives. When Haayin refuses, Yunsong, unable to accept this, shoots at her despite the police aiming their weapons at him. Hyun-woo intervenes and takes the bullet, saving Haayin. Before Yunsong can shoot again, the police fire at him, resulting in his death. Hyun-woo is rushed to the hospital. Seoul finds the slush fund in boxes, but is interrupted by news of Yunsong's death. Haeyin's parents, reminiscing about the past, are struck by Seonhwa's realization that Hyun-woo was the one who saved Haayin at the beach. When Beomja brings news about Hyun-woo, the family rushes to the hospital. Hyun-woo's parents also arrive, and the entire family waits for his surgery to finish. A few days later, Hyun-woo wakes up, and the family rejoices. Meanwhile, the three Hong siblings reunite and visit their father's grave, where Beomja vows to avenge him. Grace, who had secretly helped Hyun-woo plant the MP3 player in Haeyin's room and ensured she received the package from Germany without Yunsong's knowledge, hesitates about Da-hae's plan. Da-hae takes him to the orphanage, confessing her feelings from the moment they met and revealing that her parents abandoned her there. They share a heartfelt hug as she expresses her desire to live a just life. During the court proceedings against Seoul-hee, the video of her drugging the chairman is revealed, with Da-hee appearing as a witness, shocking the family. Grace is arrested. Napoleon's picture is replaced with a family portrait of the Baekhongs. Meanwhile, Beomja and Yongduri start dating at a slower pace, revealing that he had been waiting for her multiple times in Yongduri. Hyun-woo's parents clear up misunderstandings with Mi-sun, explaining that the woman on the phone was her husband's 60-year-old professor and assuring her of his love. They encourage her to unblock him and give her a ticket to the States. Meanwhile, Haayin resumes her role as CEO, and her collaboration with Hyun-woo's team flourishes. As they walk and reminisce about past conversations, including one about the nursery, they discuss their relationship. Despite concerns about potential conflicts, they promise to stay together. Years later, Da-hye, Soo-cheol, and Gyun-woo reunite. Beomja and Yongduri remain affectionate, yet haven't shared a kiss, happily sipping tea in Yongduri. Hyun-woo's brother continues to run his boxing academy, paying rent to their parents. The movie concludes in 2074, with an older Hyun-woo visiting Haayin, who is laid to rest in the park cemetery she once admired. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.